Welcome to Build Insights 45. Today we'll be taking a look at part 2 of the build-out for Taipei 101, highlighting the assembly of the skyscraper itself. Thank you to all my members on Patreon who are seeing these insights several weeks earlier than my general audience. If you'd like to become a member, you'll find a link in the description. Taipei 101, like its title suggests, is a 101-story skyscraper located in Taipei on the island of Taiwan. The first 130 meters of the tower feature a gradually tapered rectangular base, which came out to about 12 by 12 studs at 1 to 650 scale. Because of its tapered form, the facade is mounted with sideways plates, which meant the foremost engineering challenge would be to ensure that the tapered tower sections were seamlessly strung together at the core. So my design features a 2x2 hole at the center, which will accommodate a central spine, while all the necessary connections for exterior details are incorporated around that. The first of these exterior details to be added were the two main tower entrances seen here. Near the top of the base, the angled facades will end up encroaching fairly close to the core, so I used telescope elements, panels, and rounded plates to allow for extra space while still preserving the structural integrity. Now that we're ready to start installing the facade, let's take a moment to discuss the pair of all new elements I created specifically for Taipei 101. These 2x6 left and right wedge plates feature half the angle of a regular 2x6 wedge plate and are based on this pre-existing element. I basically split it down the middle and extracted the desired features. Shout out to Buildy Bryce on YouTube, who was a huge help in designing these parts and in getting them resin printed. I then sent them over to the team at Big Kid Bricks for color matching to sand green, and here we are, the first completely custom made elements I've ever incorporated in my body of work. The facade installation continues on Taipei 101 with sand green elements covered in transparent light blue tiles, making up the unique blue-green glazing. I was able to address the unsightly corner gaps due to the edges of the wedge plates with a column of plates that attach to the two corner segments. The corners are also tied together with a pair of turntable tops that are attached on the undersides to round plates and bars, then clipped to the core structure at a 45-degree angle. Further up, the middle sections are installed along the angled facades. These sections are framed by Technic lift arms and thin hinge plates to resolve the half and quarter stud offsets resulting from the placement of the corner wedges. The top of the tower base is finished off with some chrome silver keys representing decorative motifs at the corners. Later on, some custom printed 3x3 round tiles arrived, and I replaced these otherwise plain steel drums with these giant symbols evoking ancient Chinese coins. Taipei 101 is perhaps most well known for its distinct silhouette, featuring 8 8-story sections stacked one on top of the other and resembling the profile of a bamboo shaft. Here you can see the construction of one of the first of the 8 identical sections, engineered so that they can all slide into place along the same central spine. The sections widen at the top, which accounts for that characteristic outward flare as they feature double stair-step chamfered corners. These corners are inverted columns and clipped into place at 45-degree angles. Next, each of the 4 facades were attached to the core via simple bar and clip connections. The final details were some loosely fitted zipline handle elements, nicely accentuating the blue-green glass with silver ornaments at each corner. This is what my model of Taipei 101 looks like without the facade. Each of the 8 sections consists of 401 bricks, and it's the moment when 2 adjacent sides come together that reveals the double stair-step corners. This detail was especially important to capture as the chamfer corners were a crucial last-minute tweak made to the design of the real tower in order to reduce the chance of vortex shedding due to excessive wind loads. The real tower also has a tuned mass damper near the top, so you'll just have to visit the real thing in person if you want to see that. I saved this step of adding all the facades for the end because it was honestly really satisfying to click them all together at once. The final section of Taipei 101 includes the spire and observation deck. The lower floors of the mast are topped off by pagoda roof tiles, also in silver like most of the other decorative elements used throughout. The next section of the spire features a subtle outward taper and a surprisingly simple technique to pull it all off. Here you can see that the grille tiles applied to the rectangular structure are placed against the studs at an angle. This was repeated in 3 courses to achieve the overall effect. The rest of the spire was fairly straightforward in design and topped off by a microphone element. A large 8x8 dish was added to the bottom, and then the whole assembly was attached to the final tower section by a single center stud. The finishing touches on the spire were a series of 16 lever elements representing exposed structural braces. The flat ends of these thin pieces simply squeeze between the louvers of the vertical grille tiles and are held in place by compression. Here's the full installation process for Taipei 101. First, we take the base of the tower and fit it within the recess on the base. And then we take the red Technic spine and thread it down the center of the tower all the way through to the surface of the table. And then we take each of the 8 8-story sections and begin sliding them one at a time over the Technic spine. These sections don't actually attach to each other, but they really don't need to because the spine holds them in place. And then for the final section, we take the lower half of the mast or spire and attach that to a single stud at the center of the roof. And then we take the upper half of the spire, put that on the top like so. And there you have it, Taipei 101 at 1:650 scale. Thanks for following along, and I'll see you in the next Build Insights.